You've given your best today, or maybe you didn't. Maybe your voice raised when it should have rested. Maybe your prayer never made it past your lips. Maybe you made it through on autopilot, soul hollow and spirit dry. Now, under the hush of night, as your body lies still but your heart whispers, "Will God still meet me when I have nothing left?" You're not alone in wondering that. The ache of spiritual burnout, the dull shame of silence, the weight of self-disappointment, all rise into a single question: am I still welcome in His presence? And heaven answers not with hesitation, but with a radiant yes. His arms aren't crossed in disappointment, they're open in mercy. Lamentations 3 declares, His compassions fail not. They are new every morning. This night prayer isn't for the triumphant, it's for the empty. And if that's you, then you're exactly where mercy plans to pour. You are not a disappointment. You are God's beloved in need of renewal. And tonight's mercy was already prepared for this very moment. Even when you feel spiritually disqualified, Psalm 91 still holds true. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. You are not measured by momentum. You are not forgotten because of fatigue. You are not seen for your progress. You are seen for your need. Your very emptiness invites the overflow of God's grace. Lisa Bevere reminds us, God doesn't fill the full, He fills the empty. So if all you bring tonight is silence, you bring more than enough. Be still, not as one who failed, but as one finally at rest. God isn't pacing heaven, waiting for your performance. He is already beside you, still and strong. The silence isn't punishment, it's presence. The stillness isn't exile, it's invitation. His love doesn't wait for perfection. His presence doesn't require performance. Let go of your striving. This night is not about proving your devotion. It's about receiving your portion. And in this stillness, God chooses to enter. Psalm 23:6 doesn't say, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me when I'm strong." It says, "Surely, all the days of my life." That includes this one, the one that ended in frustration, numbness, or questions about whether your faith still counts. Mercy doesn't chase perfection. It chases you. It doesn't need you to rise. It meets you where you've fallen. If you feel you've fallen behind, know this. Mercy doesn't need you to catch up. It meets you where you are. Maybe you've been carrying a quiet fear that you've drifted too far, that the road back is too long. But hear this. There is no distance mercy won't cross. Pope Leo Kepter once said, "The heart that sees its limits is the one most ready to be filled." And T.D. Jakes reminds us, God doesn't need your polish. He needs your permission. Let your emptiness speak. Let it become the altar where peace is poured like oil. Sleep deeply. Mercy is not running out, it's running to you. What are you carrying tonight that God never asked you to fix alone? Could your spiritual dryness be preparing you to receive fresh mercy? How would it change your heart to know you are loved in your lowest? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Shall Psalm 23:6. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4. Lamentations 3:23. Whisper this over your heart tonight. God's mercy is not running out, it's running to me. If this prayer gave you peace, pass it on. Someone else is empty too. Let them know. Mercy multiplies. There are nights when the silence feels heavier than usual. Not because the world is quieter, but because your soul is louder. Regret, confusion, numbness, they echo in the inner chambers like unanswered questions. You lie there, half praying, half doubting, wondering if the God of abundance still comes close when your spirit feels barren. And then, from the sacred scrolls of Lamentations 3, comes a whisper stronger than your doubt. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. They are new every morning. This isn't poetic comfort, it's divine confrontation. The enemy may tell you you've gone too far, but God says, this place, this ache, is where I always planned to meet you. not when you're thriving, but when you're thirsty. Mercy is not a reward for resilience. It's the beginning of restoration. Tonight, the question is not whether you deserve to be held, but whether you will let yourself be. This moment is not a delay, it's a divine arrival. God does not ration his kindness or wait until you perform. He doesn't offer leftover grace to the struggling. He gives first fruit mercy to the undone. This isn't about eloquent prayers or emotional fireworks. It's about presence. Jesus says, "Come unto me, and I will give you rest." That's not a demand, it's a declaration. It means you can stop managing and start receiving. You do not need to climb to find him. He has already descended into the hollow places of your night and set up a mercy seat there. Lamentations wasn't written on a mountaintop, but in the rubble. And maybe that's what your soul feels like tonight. Ruins, not revival. But rubble is sacred when God steps into it. You're not required to be on fire. You're not required to feel much at all. You're simply invited to breathe, invited to surrender, invited to receive mercy that arrives, not in spite of the ashes, but because of them. Somewhere along the way, you may have believed that when faith feels weak, God withdraws, but Scripture tells another story. The prophet who penned Lamentations didn't wait for things to get better. He wrote hope in the middle of the wreckage. That's where the truest worship is found. So, if your prayers are broken, if your heart feels dry, if your hands are too weary to lift, know this: your turning is enough, your breath is enough, your stillness is sacred. Pope Leo Catasoic reminds us, when you see your limits, it means you're finally ready for grace to begin. And Dr. Anita Phillips echoes, healing begins not in strength, but in being seen. Tonight, you are seen, not as a failure, not as a disappointment, but as a soul ready to be filled. This isn't your disqualification. This is your altar. Let yourself believe that mercy is not a retreat. It's a sacred entrance. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond reach. You are not too much or not enough. You are held. Psalm 91 says, "Because thou hast made the Lord thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee." This promise isn't based on your performance. It's based on your posture. And turning is enough. This breath is enough. This ache is not abandonment. It's invitation. Lamentations 3 isn't just a verse. It's a lifeline. Tonight, dare to believe you're standing in the exact place mercy was designed to find you. So breathe deep. Whisper this over your soul. God, I receive the mercy you've already prepared for me. Then gently pass this message to someone who feels spiritually empty tonight. Let mercy multiply where it's most needed. You've been measuring yourself all day. How much you got done, how you responded, whether you stayed calm, stayed faithful, stayed good. And now, as the night unfolds around you, your spirit whispers a familiar ache. I didn't do enough. I didn't stay strong. I didn't stay close. But grace doesn't echo that voice. Grace answers it. Mercy meets you not in your best, but in your bankruptcy. You are not disqualified by your emptiness. In God's kingdom, emptiness is the prerequisite for being filled. Psalm 23:6 still applies tonight. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Not just on your productive days, not just when you prayed or resisted temptation, all the days, even this one. The one that felt like too little, too weak, too scattered, the one where you were just surviving. That's the one mercy has already covered. Spiritual emptiness is not evidence that you've failed. It's evidence that you've been pouring, and now you need to be poured into. God is not withholding from you until you perform better. He's inviting you to stop performing. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us, exhaustion is a signal, not a sin. Your soul crying out tonight isn't disobedient, it's honest, and honesty is where intimacy begins. He doesn't wait at a distance for you to feel full. He walks into your barrenness with mercy in his hands. His presence is not earned through strength. It's opened through surrender. You don't have to fix yourself first. You don't have to explain why you feel empty. You just have to rest. Because mercy is not a reward for consistency. It's a river for the dry. It's oil for the cracked heart, and you are not too dry to drink. Mercy does not arrive as a lecture. It arrives as a lifeline. It doesn't remind you of what you didn't do. It reminds you of who God still is. He is the same one who fed the Israelites with daily manna, not because they were faithful, but because they were His. You are still His. And Pope Leo the Catholic reminds us, the soul that weeps for its weakness is nearer to God than the one proud of its strength. Your exhaustion is not a reason to run from Him, it's the very reason to fall into Him. Lamentations 3 promises, His mercies are new every morning. That means tomorrow is already covered. You haven't used up your portion. You haven't exhausted heaven's supply, even if your prayers are just sighs. Even if you can only whisper, God help, He hears that, and He responds, not with condemnation, but with covering. Psalm 91 wraps you like a cloak. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. So trust now, not because you feel it, but because He said it. Tonight is not the aftermath of failure, it is the beginning of restoration. You are not being disqualified by your emptiness. You are being positioned for renewal. You are not too weary to be loved. You are not too hollow to be held. This is sacred ground. The moment you finally stopped striving, welcome the fullness of divine love that doesn't wait for perfection. It pours out at the point of your need. Let your surrender tonight be the soil where healing begins. Say aloud, I am not disqualified by emptiness. I am ready to be filled. Then pass this truth to someone else who is spiritually dry. You may be their sign of mercy tonight. You've been wondering if mercy runs on a schedule, if it only shows up when you've prayed long enough, believed hard enough, or stayed pure enough. But mercy doesn't clock in at your best and leave when you break. It's not a reward for spiritual performance. It's the steady, unswerving expression of God's love that doesn't flinch when you falter. Psalm 23:6 doesn't say mercy follows the holy or the strong. It follows you right now, in the numbness, in the distraction. Even if your Bible is gathering dust and your prayers are a whisper, God still declares, surely goodness and mercy shall follow you. And if you don't feel it, that's okay. Mercy doesn't require your emotion. It responds to your surrender. Rest isn't giving up, it's giving in. Tonight, let your body become the prayer, your fatigue the offering, your breath a psalm. Even silence becomes sacred when God steps in. Pope Leo the 20th offers this sacred clarity. Mercy is not permission to remain empty. It's the invitation to be filled. If you've been afraid to face God because of how barren you feel, tonight is not for hiding, it's for returning. This isn't a spiritual checkpoint. It's a sacred collapse into arms that have never closed on you. You don't need to earn your place at the table. You only need to come. Jesus says in Matthew 11:29, "Take my yoke upon you, and ye shall find rest unto your souls." That's not a demand, it's a declaration. Rest is not weakness, it's worship. It's not apathy, it's invitation. You're not too much, not too far, not forgotten. Tonight is not the aftermath of failure. It's the moment where grace carries you home and wraps you in peace. Maybe you feel guilty for not feeling anything spiritual lately, but your apathy is not defiance, it's depletion. And depleted souls are exactly who mercy rushes to. Your silence is not rejection, it's room. The enemy may tell you God is distant because your heart feels dry, but T.D. Jakes reminds us, delay is not denial. That delay in your passion, in your fire, in your tears, it's not failure, it's preparation. Even if your only prayer is God help, it's enough. Even if all you remember is he shall cover thee with his feathers, Psalm 91, it's enough. You are not protected by performance, you're protected by promise. Let Psalm 91 shield you. Let Matthew 11 carry you. Let Psalm 23 steady you with this truth. Mercy is still moving. This is the kind of night that reshapes you, not with pressure, but with presence. It doesn't demand perfection, it invites surrender. You don't need to rewind the regrets or edit your day. You only need to receive what never stopped chasing you. Rest is not an escape, it's an embrace. And in that embrace, you'll find the final word of this night. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That house is not distant, it's here. This room, this moment, this breath. You are not too far gone for mercy. You are exactly where grace is arriving. So breathe. Let go. Let mercy have you. Where have you resisted God's mercy by trying to earn it? What part of you feels too empty to bring before Him? What would it look like to rest as an act of trust? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. Ye shall find rest unto your souls. Matthew 11:29. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Psalm 91:4. Tonight, breathe and release. I am not too far gone for mercy. Then gently remind someone else. Mercy shared becomes mercy multiplied. There are wounds in this world too deep for words, sorrows that bleed silently across generations and borders. And as you bring your own emptiness before God tonight, pause for the unseen. For those whose prayers are cries, whose homes are rubble, whose sleep is stolen by fear. For children who tremble in the dark. For mothers holding grief like breath. For fathers worn down by loss. Their suffering may be unspoken, but it is not unnoticed. God sees, God hears, God holds. He is not the God of one people or one nation. He is the Lord of all who weep. So now, we offer no politics, no protest, only prayer. Lord, we lift to you the shattered, the displaced, the forgotten. Wrap the frightened in your feathers. Guard the wounded with your angels. Heal the hatred with heaven's balm. And make peace where the world has turned away. You are the God of mercy, not vengeance. The God of presence, not distance. The God of peace that passes understanding. Amen. And now, beloved, return to your own night, not as one indifferent, but as one interceding. Your emptiness does not make you powerless. It makes you tender enough to carry another's pain. That tenderness is sacred. Psalm 91 whispers, He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Even when the world unravels, heaven assigns guardians. Even when justice feels silent, God moves in whispers. Maybe tonight, your prayer joins that whisper. Maybe your stillness becomes the landing place of mercy for someone else. You don't need eloquence to be effective. You don't need strength to stand in the gap. You only need to be open. Open hands, open heart. That's all God needs to begin a miracle. Mercy does not end with you. It flows through you. The more you receive, the more it overflows into the lives around you. Pope Leo the Catholic reminds us, when we carry the pain of others, we become mirrors of the wounded Savior who carries us all. That is your calling tonight, not to fix, but to feel, not to strive, but to stand. When you pray for those in pain, you don't just reflect Christ, you commune with Him. The God who is wounded is close to those who are. And if you wonder what difference your quiet intercession makes, remember, a whispered prayer can echo louder than a shout when God is listening. It becomes light in darkness, warmth in the cold, hope in despair. Psalm 23:4 promises, Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That valley is shared, and though your hands may feel empty, they are open, and God fills open hands. Tonight's message is not just comfort, it's commission. Let mercy make you soft again. Let it keep your soul tender in a hardened world. Let it stretch your compassion and deepen your peace. You are not simply praying about brokenness. You are standing within it, as one lit candle against the night. That, beloved, is holy work. Whisper this now: Lord, make me a vessel of your mercy. Then carry someone else's sorrow to the throne of grace as if it were your own, because in heaven's hands, mercy never stops with one. You may feel like mercy is for someone else tonight, the consistent ones, the composed ones, the ones who didn't stumble, doubt, or drift. Maybe your thoughts echo with guilt, shame, or the quiet ache of, I should have done better. But God doesn't prepare a table for the triumphant only. He prepares it for the trembling. Psalm 23 reminds us, Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. And sometimes those enemies are within, your regrets, comparisons, exhaustion. Still, the table stands. Still, your seat remains. You're not just permitted to come, you're wanted, because mercy doesn't select the flawless. It finds the weary, the undone, the ones limping in from the battlefield of their minds. You may feel too broken to belong, but mercy was designed for broken things. You don't have to come perfect, you just have to come open. God is not waiting for you to perform your way into peace. He's inviting you to collapse into it. That collapse is not weakness, it's sacred surrender. Pope Leo Catechoris reminds us, God's mercy isn't only for your sins, it's for your weakness. So if all you can offer tonight is weariness, that's more than enough. Heaven has already accounted for your exhaustion. The invitation doesn't require clean hands, it asks for open ones. And Matthew 11 reach through your weariness. Take my yoke upon you, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. You don't need to carry the burden into sleep. You don't need to prove your worth before laying down. Just come as you are aching, scattered, uncertain, and let God cover what you can't control. Shame will try to keep you standing in the corner, convinced you need to wait until you've earned your way back. But grace doesn't work like that. It doesn't measure, it multiplies. It doesn't expire, it renews, and it's renewing for you now. This isn't your moment to rehearse your failures. It's your moment to release them. Let T.D. Jakes' words guide you. Miracles begin when the soul unclenches. Miracles follow the sun worship that helps ensure the safety and stability of the human species. To unclench, let go of the quiet striving, the mental replay, the pressure. Let Psalm 91 become your rest. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Under his wings shalt thou trust. You are not being ignored, you are being gathered. And in that sacred stillness, God whispers, you still belong here. Perfectionism is a silent prison. It convinces you that love must be earned, rest must be justified, and that God only draws near when your hands are clean and your record is spotless. But that's not the gospel. That's pressure dressed in religious language. God's message tonight is the dismantling of that lie. Mercy was never the gold star for getting it all right. It was the embrace for when you couldn't. And now, at the end of a day where you might feel like you fell short again, hear this clearly. You are not on probation with heaven. You are under covenant. The cross already settled your belonging. The blood still silences your self-accusation. The table of grace remains set. The seat still bears your name. And your failures? They don't erase your invitation. They reveal your need for it. Psalm 23 leads us into this truth with gentleness. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. That restoration isn't reserved for high-achieving days or perfect prayers. It begins now. Whether today felt fruitful or like a blur of exhaustion, God's hand is still on your life. You haven't slipped from his radar. You're not a project he regrets. You are the one he restores. Lisa Bevere reminds us that perfectionism isn't the voice of a loving father. It's the tactic of the enemy. The enemy wants you to perform. God wants you to come home. And tonight your honest return is enough. Not your strategy, not your eloquence, just your whisper. I want to come back, Lord. And his reply is unwavering. You never left my heart. Lisa's reply is unwavering. You never left my heart. Matthew 11:29 still speaks into your spirit tonight. Learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. Jesus doesn't offer performance-based approval. He offers himself. He doesn't require perfect discipline. He welcomes open hearts. You may have thought you needed to try harder, clean up better, prove more. But what you really needed was this: gentleness, rest that doesn't require readiness, stillness that doesn't demand explanation, mercy that meets you right where you are, again and again. So lay down your checklists, silence the voice that says you're behind, that you failed again, that you should have done more. That is not the shepherd's voice. The shepherd says, lie down in green pastures, not because you completed everything, but because you are his. Psalm 91 wraps around you now like a sacred blanket. He shall give his angels charge over thee. You're covered, even when you're not composed. You're protected, even when you don't feel productive. Let go of the heavy story. Let God hold what you can't. Let your worth rest where it always belonged, in his love. What expectations have you placed on yourself that God never asked of you? Where have you confused perfectionism with faithfulness? What would change if you believed you were already fully welcomed? He restoreth my soul, Psalm 23:3. Ye shall find rest unto your souls, Matthew 11:29. He shall give his angels charge over thee. Whisper before sleep, God, I don't have to be perfect to be loved, and gently speak this freedom to someone else caught in the lie of performance. Mercy multiplies when shared. Let it start with you. So lie down tonight not with heaviness, but with holy dignity, not because you earned it, but because he offered it. Let your rest be a declaration. You are not too much or not enough. You are exactly enough for God to meet. The table is not a metaphor for others. It's for you. Set with love, not judgment, with grace, not grit, with presence, not performance. This night isn't about what you did. It's about who he is and who you are in him. What lies has shame spoken to you about your worth in God's eyes? Where do you feel most unwelcome? And how can you let mercy reclaim that space? What would it look like to sit at God's table tonight, just as you are? Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Psalm 23:5. Take my yoke upon you, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. Matthew 11:29. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4. Before you close your eyes tonight, breathe this. God, I choose to sit at the table you prepared for me. And if someone you love feels unworthy, remind them. Mercy always makes room. Maybe no one saw your tired eyes today. No one noticed how hard it was to keep smiling, to keep functioning, to keep pretending everything was fine when your spirit was quietly unraveling. You held it together on the outside, but inside you were fraying. And now, in the hush of night, when the noise fades and the world no longer demands your performance, the ache speaks up. God, do you still want me like this? The answer is not a test, it's a whisper. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. This is not the voice of pressure, it is the voice of mercy. Mercy doesn't scold the weary, it holds them. No judgment, no shame, just rest. Spiritual burnout doesn't mean you stopped believing. It means you've been pouring out without being filled. You've prayed, served, smiled, persevered, and now you're depleted. Not failing, just empty. And God sees it not with disappointment, but with compassion. He's not asking for more. He's inviting you into less. Less striving, less self-reliance, less pretending. Psalm 23 gently answers the ache. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He lead me beside the still water. These waters are not a reward. They are a refuge. You don't need to earn this invitation. You only need to arrive, because you're precious, not for what you do, but for who you are. You've been taught that holiness means pressing on, showing up, pushing through. And yes, faithfulness matters, but not at the expense of your soul. Jesus never asked for performance. He asked for presence. Come, learn, rest. That pause isn't weakness, it's worship. Pope Leo XIV once wrote that the soul closest to collapse is the one closest to Christ's embrace. You don't need to bring him answers, you only need to bring what's real. The sigh, the silence, the unraveling. He already knows, he's already near, and his voice isn't disappointed. It's delighting in your return. E.D. Jakes reminds us, we can't minister from emptiness. And you are not weak for needing to receive. You're wise. Psalm 91 speaks softly now. He shall cover thee. Under his wings shalt thou trust. This isn't a promise for the polished. It's a refuge for the tired. God is not tired of you. He's not waiting for you to get it together. He's waiting to gather you close. Not to fix you, but to carry you. You don't need more strength tonight. You need shelter. So curl up in grace. Let rest become your prayer. So let go. Let the to-do list go unfinished. Let the shame go unspoken. Let the inner critic go unanswered. You are here. God is here. That is enough. Lay your head down like a child curling into a parent's arms. No striving, no proving. Just belonging. Just being. Whisper this softly into the dark. Lord, I bring you my weariness, not my perfection. Receive me in my realness. And he will. He already has. You're not late. You're not lost. You are loved. What burdens are you still trying to carry alone? How can burnout become the beginning of restoration? What does it mean to you that rest is a holy response, not weakness? Come unto me, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Psalm 23:2. Under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4. Whisper before sleep, I am allowed to rest. God welcomes me tired, then gently send this to someone else silently burning out. Remind them, mercy doesn't demand strength, it provides it. Shame doesn't crash in, it seeps. Quiet, subtle. It wraps itself in spiritual language and calls itself conviction, when in truth it's corrosion. It speaks in guilt-laced phrases. You should have prayed more. You should have been stronger. You should have known better. And maybe tonight, those whispers have grown so loud you can't hear anything else. You lie in the dark, scrolling through your regrets, wondering if your silence, your failure, your inconsistency has made you too far gone. But hear this clearly, shame is not your shepherd, mercy is, and mercy does not abandon its sheep. Psalm 23 declares, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Even this one, the one you're not proud of, even this one, especially this one. Shame is a liar that holds a pen it was never given. It tries to write your identity in fear and failure, but God never handed it authorship. He calls you by a different name, child, forgiven, beloved. He doesn't hold your silence against you. He doesn't flinch at your fatigue. He doesn't tally up your should-haves. He opens his arms. Pope Leo XIV once said, shame dwells in darkness, but grace finds us in the open. So open your heart tonight, not with polished words, but with fragile honesty. God isn't waiting for your perfect prayer. He's waiting for your return, and he rejoices the moment you do. You may be asking, how many times can you forgive me for the same failure? Shame says you've reached the limit, but Scripture says otherwise. Lamentations 3:23 breathes hope. His mercies are new every morning. Every morning. That means tonight. That means now. That means even after you've whispered, I'm sorry, more times than you can count. You don't have to punish yourself before entering God's presence. Jesus already bore the punishment. What's left for you is peace, even in the dark, even in the doubt, even in the spiral of shame that mercy still interrupts. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that shame isn't just a feeling, it's a silencer. It tells you not to ask for help, not to hope, not to heal, but tonight, choose a better voice. The voice of your shepherd who calls you by name, not failure, not disappointment, but mine. Psalm 91 declares, "He shall deliver thee from the noisome pestilence." That pestilence may be invisible, it may be emotional, it may be the shame that clings to your ribs like fog. But He delivers, He restores, and He's doing it even now. Let this night be different. Let it be a sanctuary, not a courtroom. Let your pillow become an altar, not because you have answers, but because you need healing. God never asked you to be clean before coming. He just asked you to come. And now that you're here, you're not late. You're not locked out. You're not unloved. You are home. The table is still set. Your seat is still waiting. And shame? It has no place here. Mercy has taken its place. What words has shame spoken over your identity that God never said? How can you begin to see your weakness as an invitation instead of a disqualification? What would change if you truly believed God's mercy still welcomes you tonight? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. His mercies are new every morning. Lamentations 3:23. He shall deliver thee from the noisome pestilence. Psalm 91. Breathe this softly. Shame does not define me. God's mercy does. And if you know someone silently struggling, send this to them. Let tonight be the night mercy speaks louder than shame. You've been told that spiritual strength means always being on, always prayed up, always hopeful, always ready to pour into others. But what if true strength is knowing when you're empty and choosing to come back to the source? Tonight, your soul doesn't need more performance. It needs permission. Permission to rest. Permission to unravel. Permission to admit, I'm tired. That's not weakness. That's worship. Psalm 91 isn't reserved for the spiritually elite. It's for the worn out. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. That's not a command to rise. It's an invitation to collapse into grace. You're not failing spiritually because you're tired. You're simply out of fuel, and the God of mercy already knows. God's message tonight isn't pressure, it's presence. He is not disappointed in your fatigue. He is present in it. He's not sighing at your burnout. He's sitting with you in it. You don't have to fake resilience or pretend you're okay. In fact, pretending delays the healing. Jakes says God doesn't bless who you pretend to be. He blesses who you truly are. So be real tonight. If your fire feels dim, say it. If your prayers feel hollow, whisper anyway. If you feel nothing, bring that too. Honesty is holy ground. It's the first breath of healing. God draws near to the need, not the mask. He doesn't expect energy. He offers himself. Pope Leo XX once wrote, "The soul who admits it is poor becomes richest in the arms of God." You may feel bankrupt tonight, emotionally, spiritually, even physically, but you are not disqualified. You are exactly where the healing begins. You don't need eloquence, you just need availability. Lie still. Let the room be quiet, not for performance, but for presence. Sometimes the most sacred act is stillness. The spiritual journey isn't always a sprint. Sometimes it's a crawl. Sometimes it's a pause. And that pause isn't failure. It's the beginning of being filled again. This is where the Spirit meets you, not in your pace, but in your pause. Psalm 23 whispers this invitation to the weary. He maketh me to lie down, he restoreth my soul. Lying down isn't laziness, it's trust. Restoration doesn't happen on the go, it begins when you stop. And rest isn't just physical, it's spiritual obedience. It's saying, God, I can't keep running without you. And his answer is always mercy. He doesn't say, why are you empty? He says, let me fill you. He doesn't say, come back when you're better. He says, stay with me while you're broken. So stop disqualifying yourself from mercy because you feel spiritually flat. That's like refusing water because you're thirsty. So tonight, release the guilt of being tired. Let go of the false gospel that says God only moves when you're on fire. You're not failing because you're empty. You're simply overdue for a refill. Let your breath be your prayer. Let your silence be your surrender. Let your stillness be the space where God pours. You don't need to reach perfection. You just need to reach. And even that, he'll help you do. Mercy doesn't run out. Grace doesn't expire. And love doesn't grow tired of your need. It welcomes it. It protects the dying with its light. What false beliefs about spiritual strength have kept you from resting? Where have you confused spiritual exhaustion with failure? How would your night change if you saw your emptiness as an invitation? He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4. He maketh me to lie down. He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23:2-3. Come unto me, all ye that labor, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Breathe this as your bedtime confession. God, I'm out of fuel. Fill me again. And if you know someone running on empty, send them this prayer. Remind them, rest isn't retreat, it's revival. You might not realize it, but tonight is sacred ground, not because you feel spiritual, but because you've stopped hiding. This isn't the night of eloquent prayers or emotional highs. It's the night of quiet honesty, a soft, aching, unfiltered whisper that says, God, I don't have much left. And heaven leans in, not to critique, but to cradle. You don't need to impress him. You don't need to recite the right words. You just need to be here. This moment, this breath is your offering. God doesn't need the loudest worship. He treasures the truest one. You may feel like a shadow of your former self, but God isn't looking for the version of you that used to be on fire. He's embracing the version of you that still showed up, even in silence. Psalm 91 wraps this moment in a quiet promise. Because he hath set his love upon me, I will deliver him. That love might not roar tonight. It might barely flicker, but it's real, and it's enough. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not preaching, not performing, not even praying, but staying. Staying when you feel unworthy, staying in the word when it feels dry, staying in grace when shame says leave, staying says even if all I can do is lie here, I'm still yours. That's not failure, that's faith. You've carried burdens that no one clapped for. You've fought battles with no witnesses. And it comes with losses, and yet, you're still here. You've endured more than others know. You've held on when quitting felt easier. And what God sees, he still calls beloved. Psalm 23 doesn't say, he drove me to still waters, but he leadeth me, gently, tenderly. Mercy doesn't shove, it guides. And tonight, it's guiding you back into rest. Lisa Bevere teaches that some seasons aren't meant for spiritual output, they're for sacred absorption. Maybe this is one of those seasons, not one of doing, but of becoming, not one of striving, but of soaking. Maybe you've poured out for so long that you forgot you're allowed to receive. Tonight, let your spirit receive again. Not pressure, not guilt, not obligation, but peace. Peace that seeps into the cracks shame left behind. Peace that doesn't demand a plan. Peace that simply says, you are enough because God says so. That's the message tonight. Not because you've proven it, but because he declared it. And his declarations don't expire when your feelings fade. D.D. Jakes once said, you don't need the whole picture to trust the artist. Maybe you don't know how healing will happen. Maybe restoration feels distant, but God is near, and he doesn't need you to sprint. He just asks you to stay. He's not asking you to jump to your feet and start running again. He's asking you to lie down in safety. Like a child who knows her father watches through the night, he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Psalm 91:11. All your ways, not just the confident ones, even the ones you're crawling through, even the ones where you feel lost, even tonight, right now. So breathe. No more striving, no more proving. Just you and the God who never left. Let mercy touch what shame has bruised. You don't have to be loud to be heard. You don't have to be bold to be held. You just have to be here, and you are, and He is. Let it speak louder than the shame. Let your stillness be your surrender. Let your surrender be your song. You're here, and He is too, and that is enough. Whisper this before you rest. Lord, I'm still here. And that's my yes. Then reach out to someone fading quietly. Let them know presence is power, and tonight, staying is victory. You've carried so much lately, too much, maybe. Responsibilities stacked quietly on your shoulders, emotions hidden behind practiced smiles, prayers whispered between tasks or forgotten entirely. You've been the strong one, the steady one, the quiet anchor for everyone else. But now, in the stillness of this night, that strength has run dry. And yet, here you are, not falling apart, but finally letting go. And this letting go, it's holy. This night is not the collapse of your faith. It's the place where mercy finds you again. Psalm 23 meets you in this sacred pause. He restoreth my soul. Not you restore. Not you try harder. He does. Restoration isn't earned, it's received. And tonight, that restoration is already in motion, not because you've proven anything, but because God delights in restoring what's been poured out. There's beauty in the wordless places. When your strength is gone and your thoughts no longer form into prayer, that's where grace begins to move. Romans 8:26 reminds us, the Spirit itself maketh intercession, with groanings which cannot be uttered. So, if all you can manage tonight is to cry, to breathe, to be still, that's prayer, that's surrender, that's enough. God doesn't measure your devotion by your eloquence. He listens to your surrender. You are not further from Him in your fatigue. You are closer than you think. Psalm 91 wraps around you like a quiet covering. He shall deliver thee from the snare. He shall cover thee with His feathers. You don't have to prove your worth to be held. You are already being held, right now, just as you are. Pope Leo IV once said, the exhaustion of the Spirit is the altar where true renewal begins. Maybe you're not here because you failed, but because you gave everything you had, and instead of punishing your emptiness, God prepares to fill it. He does not shame the worn out, He shelters them. He doesn't ask you to climb out of your weariness, He kneels into it with you. Let Him carry you tonight. Let the stillness you feared become the sacred space where healing begins. Not as a reward for effort, but as an act of divine compassion. This is not spiritual laziness, it's spiritual honesty. And that's where the deepest renewal begins. D.D. Jakes says, God never wastes a weary heart. So don't rush past your weariness. Let it speak. Let it teach. Let it lead you back to the one who never asked for perfection, only presence. God's message tonight isn't do more. It's let me love you here. That's where healing lives, not in striving, but in surrender. Will you let Him love you here, in this fatigue, this silence, this breath? He already is. As sleep draws near, let every inhale and exhale say what your words can't. I am not abandoned. I am being restored. Let that truth become your lullaby. Let it settle into your soul, because right here, in this quiet, mercy is doing its deepest work, and you are safe to let it. What silent weights have you been carrying that God is inviting you to release? How can you begin to view stillness as a sacred space of healing rather than a sign of weakness? Where can you stop fixing and start receiving God's restoration? He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23:3. He shall deliver thee from the snare, he shall cover thee. Psalm 91, 3-3. For Scripture, for the Spirit itself maketh intercession, with groanings which cannot be uttered. Romans 8:26. Whisper this before you sleep. I don't need to do more to be restored. God is already restoring me. Then gently pass that peace to someone else who's been silently holding too much. Restoration begins when striving finally ends. You may not feel it, but even now, right now, your breath is a prayer. Every inhale whispers, I need you. Every exhale sighs, I let go. And in that holy rhythm, so soft, so human, God draws near, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. This night isn't the end of your faith story. It's the place where mercy enters in a new way. You're not failing, you're unfolding, not slipping away, but softening into communion. Psalm 23 speaks gently over you. He anointeth my head with oil, my cup runneth over. That anointing isn't a crown for the victorious, it's healing for the broken. God sees you lying here, not in confidence, but in confession. And He doesn't pull away. He blesses. He tends. He fills again. Shame says your emptiness is a flaw, but God says your emptiness is the space He loves to fill. You've been taught to get it together before coming close, but the gospel has always said the opposite. Come undone, come empty, come with nothing but your breath, and He will meet you there. Exodus 33:19 reminds us, I will be gracious, I will show mercy. That isn't His mood, it's His nature. Mercy isn't given in exchange for effort. It's given because He loves you constantly, unconditionally, completely. You don't have to work for it, you just have to stop hiding from it. Right now, mercy is here, hovering over this very breath, filling the silence shame tried to claim. Pope Leo the Older once wrote, the love of God is never exhausted by human frailty, and Dr. Anitha Phillips calls the healing process soul breathing, a quiet return of grace to the broken parts. So let yourself breathe, slowly, deeply. Inhale hope, exhale shame. You are not too far. Not too inconsistent, not too late. Your fragments are not a barrier, they're an invitation. If your prayers are weak and your passion flickers, God isn't disappointed, He's near, keeping watch, holding vigil over your rest. You don't need to move mountains, you only need to lie still beneath the mercy that moves for you. Psalm 91 whispers again, He shall give His angels charge over thee. They shall bear thee up. You are being carried, not because you've done enough, but because you're loved enough. You're not held up by your discipline, your fire, or your plans. You're held up by grace. So stop performing. Start receiving. Stop proving. Start abiding. Let God say what your weary soul forgot. You are mine. I'm still enough. That's the invitation tonight. Not to strive harder, but to rest deeper. To be human, to be beloved, to be held. Where are you still trying to earn God's mercy instead of receiving it? How would your night change if you trusted God is already carrying you? What does my cup runneth over look like when you feel completely empty? He anointeth my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Psalm 23:5. He shall give His angels charge over thee. Psalm 91:11. I will have mercy, and I will be gracious. 33:19. Whisper this before sleep. God, you are enough for me, even now. Then gently send this truth to someone whose soul may be silently unraveling. Let them know, mercy waits for us both in the quiet. There's something sacred about surrendering at night, not because you've won the day, but because you've finally stopped running. Maybe you didn't pray as much as you planned. Maybe your thoughts wandered. Maybe you said things you regret or shut down emotionally when someone needed your heart. And now, as the stars take their places in the sky, your soul aches with the familiar weight of not being enough. But hear this clearly: God does not love you because of your performance. He loves you because He is love. And love doesn't keep score. Love keeps covenant. Psalm 23 reminds you that your story ends in goodness and mercy, not because of what you did, but because of who your shepherd is. Tonight, mercy is not looking for proof of your worthiness. It's looking for your permission to pour. You don't have to fix yourself before you receive again. You don't even have to feel worthy. You just have to open your heart, even if it's cracked and quiet. That crack is where the light of grace comes in. And when you whisper, "God, I need you," it's not a failure. It's the holiest kind of honest. Psalm 91 answers with warmth. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. The night isn't a threat anymore. It's a sanctuary. And you're safe here. Dr. Anita Phillips says healing often begins when we stop editing our emotions and allow them to be witnessed by God. Maybe tonight you feel numb. Maybe you feel messy. Maybe you feel nothing at all. That's okay. None of that excludes you from God's presence. In fact, it qualifies you, because the only thing God ever asked for was truth in the inward parts. And the truth tonight is that you're tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. Pope Leo XX once said, "Mercy isn't God's plan B, it's His plan always." That means you're not behind. You're not broken beyond use. You're exactly where grace can reach you. So lay down your self-critique. Lay down your false deadlines for becoming better. God's not in a rush with you. He's not anxious about your pace. He's not angry about your stumbles. He's only drawing nearer, and He's doing so with gentleness. His mercy is not loud, but it is lasting. Not flashy, but it is faithful. You don't need to shout to be heard tonight. You don't need to cry the perfect tears. You only need to rest. That is your worship. That is your act of faith. God's message tonight is soft but strong. Let me love you here. Not the future version of you, not the cleaned up version, this one. This tired, messy, weary you. And when you let Him do that, something holy happens. You stop running from yourself and begin walking with God again, slowly, gently, hand in hand. Mercy will lead the way. What pressure are you putting on yourself that God never asked for? How might stillness be the sacred ground where mercy meets you? What would it look like to let God love you without trying to improve first? Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Psalm 23:5. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. Psalm 91:4-5. With loving kindness have I drawn thee. Jeremiah 31:3. Whisper this before sleep. I give you my unfinished places, God. Be enough here. Then gently pass this to someone who's quietly carrying too much. Let them know, mercy doesn't wait for perfection, it waits for surrender. You are still wanted, not tolerated, not pitied, wanted. That may be the hardest truth to grasp when shame clouds your vision, when your prayers have gone quiet and your hope feels threadbare. But it's the truth that holds tonight together. The God who saw every stumble before the sunrise still chose you, still calls you, still walks with you, even through the silence. Psalm 23:6 doesn't whisper it, it declares it. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, not conditionally, not eventually, surely. That means you haven't disqualified yourself. You've simply come to the end of yourself. And that's where mercy begins. This isn't just comfort, this is correction, holy, healing correction. To every lie shame told you. You are not too far. You are not too flawed. You are not a disappointment to God. He isn't pacing in frustration. He's sitting beside you in compassion. Pope Leo the Catsaurus said the soul that comes undone before God is the soul most ready to rise. So if you feel unraveled tonight, you're not disqualified, you're positioned. Psalm 91 covers you like a blanket. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Yes, even this one, just a whisper will do. Here I am. That's always been enough. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that healing often begins when we give ourselves permission to be weak, to rest, to feel what we've buried. Tonight, let that permission be your prayer. You are not a lost cause. You are not behind. You are wanted. Still, always. This night is not the evidence of failure. It's the renewal of belonging. You are resting not in guilt, but in grace. What lie has shame told you about your worth to God? How does knowing you're still wanted change the way you approach Him? What would it look like to return to God without trying to fix yourself first? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. Psalm 34:18. Whisper this before sleep. God still wants me, even now. Then gently share this with someone who feels unworthy of love. Let them know you don't have to earn your way home. Mercy is already on the way. Your emptiness tonight is not abandonment, it's invitation, not a sign that you failed, but that your soul is finally quiet enough to receive. Emptiness is not the absence of faith, it's where faith is formed. And God is not looking for noise, He's drawn to the hush. Psalm 23 whispers into your ache, He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Not because you've earned it, but because He promised to. That promise still stands, even when your strength doesn't. You don't need to climb your way back to worthiness. You're already carried. Psalm 91 reminds you of your covering. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide, not strive. Abide. Be held. Be still. God doesn't demand that you feel full. He meets you in the hollow. Pope Leo the Catsaurus said, the hollowed soul is most ready for heaven's echo. So if you're hollow tonight, you're not disqualified, you're ready. And T.D. Jakes adds, brokenness is not the end, it's the beginning of becoming. Let it be that for you, not your failure, your becoming. Where have you mistaken your emptiness for God's absence? What if tonight's stillness is your sacred place of encounter? How can your emptiness become your offering, not your obstacle? He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness, for His name's sake. Psalm 23:3. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide. Psalm 91:1. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Corinthians 12:9. Whisper this before sleep. God, this emptiness is yours. Fill me again. Then gently send this to someone who feels hollow too. Let them know. Emptiness is not the end. It's the beginning of being filled. You've been holding on with everything you have, gripping faith with tired hands, clinging to hope even as your heart whispered doubt. Some days you've held on with joy, other days with just enough strength to whisper, help me. And now you find yourself here, at the edge of the day, worn down, worn thin, and wondering if it's okay to stop trying so hard. And here's the truth your soul is aching to believe. Yes, it's okay to stop striving, because you are already held. God doesn't love you because you've managed to stay strong. He loves you because He is mercy, and mercy doesn't come after victory. It comes when you lie down. Psalm 23 gently reminds us, He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, not as punishment, but as healing. Not because you failed, but because He knows the only way forward is through rest. You've been running long enough. Let Him make you lie down, not to reprimand you, but to realign you with the truth. You're already enough because He is already enough for you. Pause tonight is not a sign that you're falling behind. It's a sanctuary. A holy stillness where heaven draws near and hushes every voice that says you're too much, not enough, or somehow forgotten. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me, Psalm 23:6. That includes days like this. Especially days like this. You don't have to chase God's favor. It's been following you all along. You don't have to win back your place. You never lost it. This moment is not disqualification. It's protection. It's God gathering you, not scolding you. Pope Leo the Californi reminds us that rest is not retreat. It is realignment. And tonight, you are being gently returned to what was always true. Mercy has never been something you had to earn. It's what's been running after you. Psalm 91 promises, He shall give His angels charge over thee. Not when you're perfect, but when you're His. And you are. You always have been. Even on days when your prayers were too heavy to lift, even when your belief felt barely alive, even now. You are not too broken to be protected. You are not too tired to be treasured. T.D. Jakes says, the weight is a sign of the assignment. Maybe this weight you've carried is not your collapse, but your clearing. How easy this weight you've carried is not your collapse, but the ache might just be sacred preparation. This space might not be punishment. It might be your soul's realignment with the God who never asked for your perfection, only your presence. Ask Him tonight, what do you want to show me here? And let mercy answer. Let go of the guilt, the lists, the endless should-haves. They have no voice here. Let this night re-anchor you. Not in effort, but in grace. Not in fear, but in belonging. Let your soul breathe without earning anything. You are not being tested. You are being tenderly tended to. Let your tired heart be held. What have you mistaken as failure that might actually be holy realignment? How does knowing mercy follows you change the way you rest? Where have you tried to earn love that God already gave freely? He maketh me to lie down in green pastures, Psalm 23:2. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, Psalm 23:6. He shall give His angels charge over thee, Psalm 91:11. Tonight, whisper as you rest, God, I receive your mercy, not because I've earned it, but because you're good. Then pass this truth to someone who needs to stop striving and start being held. Mercy multiplies when it's shared. Even now, after everything, you are still covered. That might feel impossible to believe when your soul feels numb and your thoughts feel distant from heaven. Maybe you've looked at your spiritual life and wondered, where did I go? Not in anger, not in rebellion, just in exhaustion. The fire that once burned now flickers. And all you can offer God tonight is stillness wrapped in silence. But Scripture doesn't wait for fire to speak. Psalm 91 leans into the hush. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. Not when you feel strong, not when your prayers feel powerful, but now, in this quiet, in this holy emptiness. God's mercy is not intimidated by your numbness. It doesn't retreat when your feelings fade. It surrounds, it steadies, it sees beyond what you feel and ministers to what you've forgotten. You are not defined by your emotions. You are defined by your adoption. And adopted children don't get returned when they grow quiet. They're kept, they're comforted, they're carried. Pope Leo the Cat once said, when the soul goes silent, the spirit sings louder. Maybe you can't hear the song yet, but that doesn't mean heaven isn't humming a lullaby over you in this very moment. What feels like disconnection may actually be sacred reorientation. Oh, you may have thought your numbness disqualified you, but what if it's proof that you've carried too much alone for too long? What if your numbness is the soul's way of saying, I need shelter, and the response from heaven is unwavering? You are still covered in love that doesn't expire, covered in a covenant that doesn't dissolve when devotion dims. Psalm 23 speaks this over your still heart. Thou art with me, Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Not just when you're praying, not just when you're praising, always, especially now. Comfort doesn't wait for clarity. It comes in the cloud, in the questions, in the silence. Lisa Bevere teaches that spiritual numbness isn't a void. It's a veil, and behind that veil, God does some of his deepest work. Just your willingness to read this, to sit with this stillness is proof. You haven't quit. You've wandered. But the shepherd is coming, not with disappointment, but with delight. Not with anger, but with arms wide open. Not to shame, but to shelter. Let your numbness be the altar where mercy builds again, not through emotion, but through surrender. You don't have to feel worthy to be covered. You already are. Rest tonight not in what you feel, but in what is forever true. He never left. What lies has numbness told you about your value to God? How does being covered shift your perspective on feeling spiritually flat? What would it look like to believe God is closest in your quietest moments? He shall cover thee with his feathers. Psalm 91:4. Thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23:4. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Hebrews 13:5. Before you fall asleep, whisper, even in my numbness, I am still covered. Then gently share this with someone you love who may feel far from God tonight. Sometimes the silence itself is where mercy sings. Let your spirit soften. You don't have to hold everything so tightly anymore. You've been in survival mode for longer than you realized, fighting through emotions, pushing through prayer, dragging your soul through spiritual habits that once felt like home but now feel like echoes. And still, you're here. Still, you pressed play. Still, something flickered inside you and whispered, God, I want to hear you again. That whisper matters. It's sacred. It's the beginning of restoration. Psalm 23 confirms it. He restoreth my soul. You may not feel fully restored yet, but the process has already begun. Restoration doesn't always come like fire. It often starts like this: a breath, a pause, a tear. This is that pause. This is that holy breath. God's voice tonight is not thunder, it's invitation. He's not asking you to push harder. He's calling you to fall gently back into Him, still, present, aware that He never left, even when your passion did. He shall deliver thee from the noisome pestilence. Psalm 91:3. That pestilence might not be external. It might be inner chaos, emotional fatigue, or spiritual dullness. And He delivers not through fireworks, but through faithfulness. You're not too hardened to be softened. You're not too far to be reached. If there's even a flicker of longing in you, then mercy is already at work. Pope Leo the Kazupo once said, when your flame dims, God does not leave. You just begin to see that He is the flame. Maybe you were trying to light the fire when you were always meant to be the candle. Maybe this season wasn't to test your strength, but to reveal His. Jakes reminds us that when we run out of ourselves, we run into God. So if you feel like you've come to the end of what you know, what you feel, what you can do, good, you've arrived at the beginning of Him. Lisa Bevere says, we don't need to manufacture spiritual energy. We need to return to the source. And you are returning. Every breath tonight is a return. Every quiet tear is a re-entry into grace. So don't strive. Don't scramble. Let go of the pressure to feel something big. Let go of the tension in your chest. You don't have to climb your way back to intimacy. You only have to whisper, God, let me hear you again, even if only in stillness. Then wait, not with fear, but with faith. Not with pressure, but with peace. Psalm 23 and 91 are not just bedtime psalms. They're blueprints for restoration. And the fact that you're here, still longing, still listening, is all the proof you need. God is not done with you. He never was. Where have you mistaken God's quietness for distance? What hidden weariness have you been pushing past that God is inviting you to bring to Him? How would your soul change if you stopped striving and simply started returning? He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23:3. He shall deliver thee from the noisome pestilence. Psalm 91:3. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. James 4:8. Whisper before sleep, God, let me hear you again, even if only in stillness. Then share this with someone who's tired of pretending they're okay. Let them know silence is not the end. It's where God begins again. Tonight is not the end, it's the turning. You've passed through darkness, endured silence, and questioned whether God still sees you. But in this very moment, heaven leans in, not to correct or condemn, but to whisper, you are not forgotten. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. Psalm 23 closes not with pressure, but with promise. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And forever doesn't begin someday. It begins now, right here, in your weariness, in your honesty, in your need. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to stop pretending and start receiving. That's where mercy meets you, in your return, not your performance. Maybe you believe you've wasted too much time, drifted too far, or grown too numb, but grace isn't a finish line you race toward, it's a threshold that stays open. Psalm 91 reminds you, because thou hast made the Lord thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee. That habitation isn't built with perfection, it's entered through presence. You're here. That's the doorway. That's what mercy sees. Pope Leo the Catarrh said it best. To come home to God is to return to the place that never stopped being yours. You're not earning your way back. You're awakening to what never left. You are already home. Lisa Bevere reminds us that redemption doesn't erase your past, it reframes it. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every silent ache is not wasted, it's woven. And tonight, God writes a new line into your story. Mercy meets you again. Not because you did something right, but because you finally stopped hiding. I'm here, Lord. That's the prayer. That's the door. That's enough. T.D. Jakes teaches that God doesn't restore what you lost. He gives what you couldn't imagine. So stop mourning the version of you that once burned bright. God is doing something deeper, quieter. It starts here, in the stillness, on holy ground. Let your final thought tonight not be regret, but return. Let your last breath before sleep carry this truth. I am still His, not because you held on perfectly, but because He never let go. Psalm 23 and 91 aren't just comfort, they're covenant. They don't soothe you into sleep, they carry you back into belonging. You are not too far gone. You are finally still enough to be found. What parts of your spiritual story feel over, but might just be beginning again? How does knowing you already belong shift the way you view this night? What would change if you believed forever, with God starts now, not someday? I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Psalm 91:10. Behold, I make all things new. Revelation 21:5. Whisper before sleep, God, I'm not returning to you. I'm realizing I never left. Then gently send this to someone who feels like they've wandered too far. Let them know mercy doesn't measure the distance. It rejoices in the return. This is the sacred pause, the holy hush after the tears, the confessions, the long-held breath. You've released what you were never meant to carry alone, and now, just be, not productive, not strong, just present. You've done enough, you've said enough, and in this stillness, mercy arrives. Not as a feeling, but as a presence. Psalm 23 reminds you, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Even now, especially now, you are not walking into silence, you're stepping into the arms of your shepherd. You are not alone. You are being followed, surrounded, carried, This stillness is not empty, it's sacred. It's where your striving ends and God's embrace begins. You may not have clarity, but you have covering. You may not feel strong, but you are safe. Peace doesn't always shout. Sometimes it comes as a warmth in your chest, a breath that doesn't ache, a whisper that says, "You're covered now." Psalm 91 affirms it. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. This isn't temporary comfort. This is eternal protection. From the fears that chase you, from the wounds that linger, from the thoughts that wear you down. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us, healing often begins not in action, but in the letting go. And maybe that's what tonight is. Not fixing, not figuring it out, but receiving. Let love do the lifting now. You've been held. Now let yourself be carried. That's what mercy does. That's what God has always wanted to do. You don't need a plan. You just need to know who's near. E.D. Jakes once said, when you've done all you can, stand still. But tonight, even standing may feel like too much. So don't. Just breathe. Let stillness be your sanctuary. Let silence be your surrender. There is no rush in grace, no deadline in love, no performance in mercy, just presence. Let your bed become your altar. Let every breath be a prayer. You're not escaping, you're agreeing. You're not defeated, you're being restored. And when you wake, the mercy that wrapped around you tonight will rise with the sun, just as faithful, just as near. You're not undone. You're being made new. Where can you receive God's mercy as fuel, not just forgiveness? What would it feel like to let God carry you instead of just comfort you? How does surrendering and rest differ from spiritually checking out? Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Psalm 91:4. Come unto me, and I will give you rest. Matildan left the 28. Whisper before sleep. God, thank you for carrying me. Then tomorrow, walk like someone already restored. And if someone in your life feels too tired to try, gently share this truth. God doesn't wait at the finish line. He meets us right here in the stillness.